Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. It's me, Daniel, with vintagemagic.com. Sorry, but a little bit under the weather, so haven't done some videos for a little bit. But today's video is all about a topic that actually came up before and then recently about purchasing cards, specifically cards that are graded, and realizing that the cards, when you see them in person, they're not really the quality that you expect. And so this conversation means a lot to buyers and also sellers. Obviously need to be aware where the issue basically is, like, let's say you buy on eBay and you see a graded card. Let's say it's a BGS 8 Tropical Island Beta or something. You assume that the card, based on the title, is a BGS 8 quality. It's a near mint to mint card. Pack fresh, has maybe some nicks here and there, but not really played. But then you get the card and then it's played, and it's just lots of play wear, not what you expected. Obviously, if you clicked on the pictures and you saw the scans or whatever, you can see that it's play wear, but you make some assumptions like, yeah, maybe, it's better than the picture. You give it the benefit of the doubt because it's Beckett and they have a reputation for grading good cards. So being around the hobby for such a long time, I could tell you that I would easily guess about over 25% of all the cards graded in the market are overgraded in some way. Kind of crazy number, right? But it's true. I that's kind of my thought process. Like one in four cards tend to be overgraded. That's how I look at it from my experience. And I'm not saying that you can use that as a statistic on everything. Keep in mind, you can't be like yeah, so 1 in 4 cards, so yeah, this time I got a good card and, it's fine. You have to actually look at the card. And I've said this saying many times, and I'll say it again. Always buy the card you're buying, not the grade or the label. And there are cases where the cards are undergraded, meaning the cards are better quality. Let's say it's a PSA 8 Beta Tropical Island, and the card probably deserves to be a 9, maybe even a 9.5, or a PSA 9 or a PSA 10. So regardless, there are opportunities to even make money on cards that are undergraded. And you're probably asking, why does that even occur? Why does undergrading occur? Well, that occurs because, graders are busy. Imagine being in a dark room looking at cards. You're going to tend to grade cards on a faster scale. They might have quotas, and you might have, it might be a Friday. They got to get out of here, right? I know it sounds like, I know the grading companies will probably deny that, but I know that from a human factor, people, when they're grading a lot of cards, they're going to get tired. And you tend to start, just saying, hey, these are going to be 8s, these are going to be 9s, or this is going to be 9 corners, and I'm going to give the rest, 9-5 centering, whatever, right? There's going to be human error and mistakes, and it's just the way it is in grading, especially. So then that leaves the opportunity that some of the cards are undergraded. Then you can crack them out and then resubmit them, review them, and then they can get a higher grade. And you can make more money out of it. So, which really sucks, honestly, for vendors like me who rely solely on the grading companies to grade it, accurately the first time. And yes, every vendor who's submitted cards or even collectors has gotten cards that were, generously graded, like overgraded, right? And they've sold it for more money, and they were given, a really, it happens all the time. So, you're probably asking, in that case, why are they overgraded so much? Why is there such a high percentage of overgraded cards? Because the undergraded cards, I believe, are much, I probably say maybe it's about the same, but why is there so many overgraded cards? And one of the biggest things I would say is it has to do with kind of what I said earlier about the undergraded cards, that there's human errors and speed and such like that, quotas possibly. But more importantly, I think every grader has their metrics that they go off of. And I think also certain level of cards, there's senior graders that actually review the cards and kind of go through that with some of the less experienced graders. So you may have, in a case, less senior grader grading your cards, and then they give you really good grades, and then they're all overgraded, and the senior grader or the second grader usually is supposed to look at them, and they might be busy. Maybe there's not any like super high end cards that they flag, in the systems. I know like PSA has systems for that, and I'm sure Beckett does. So, that does occur, and maybe you have people that are not also experts in gaming cards. There are people that are only good at Pokemon or more knowledgeable in sports cards, etc. So with Magic cards, they are very unique. And that's why in the case of recently, there was another company of that sells graded cards. They submitted a bunch of cards, alpha cards specifically, and the centerings got really bad centering. We're talking like 5.5 centering on a Vesuvian Doppelganger alpha to 6 to 7 centering for cards that normally would be one or two grades more for centering easily, right? And so in the past, they would give those much higher grades of centering. That's changing the overall grade. And you would think that, man, that sounds like a played card. The overall grade becomes a 6.5, even if the cards, the corners, and the centering and the surface are all 9. You have a 5.5 centering that I think this gets you a 6.5, which is a shitty played card normally. And so that really is a big issue, right? Because as a vendor, you're paying all these grading fees. You're expecting the results, accurately. So people that bought into those cards actually are going to make money off it because they can crack it out, play them, resubmit, etc. And the cards look pretty pack fresh. And in the player community, for Magic especially, doesn't only rely on graded cards like sports cards mostly. For the premiums, you could crack the 6.5 alpha Vesuvian, sell it as a raw alpha Vesuvian, and get a much more higher premium. So it's pretty considerable, actually. So what do you do as a buyer, to counteract that? So first thing I would do is make sure you always ask for more scans. Always ask for information about the card, the surface, scratches, print lines, print dots. If you see a scuff or something on the case, or a scratch or anything, right, you can always ask. Get a lot of information. Another thing you could do is ask for their phone number, pick up the phone, make a phone call, go through the card with them, and then obviously, you can purchase or make an offer. And that's, usually sellers should give the buyer that type of information and give them that type of level of respect. If they don't, then you have a situation where the seller may be hiding something, or they might not be a good seller to buy from anyway, because you want to deal with people that are partners, people that are actually willing to invest the time with you and obviously retain you as a good, as a faithful customer, right? So that's what I would do first. Let's say you buy it on eBay, and then you say, well, I didn't like this corner or blah, 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 and you return it. eBay has a very good buyer protection policy, but there are a little fine print that says that if you just have buyer's remorse, that may not be subject to a return. So make sure you are very clear on what you're looking at in the pictures and all the information up front. Now, I will warn everybody that there's always going to be human error when you're buying and selling cards. So having some respect for both parties when you're interacting, that's without getting in a confrontation, that's going to allow your return or your voice to be heard. If you start, badgering the seller and accusing them of crap and posting crap on Facebook or whatever, rather than working with them, the result won't be good either way. It just comes across, it's wrong, right? The seller's just trying to sell the card. They assume that the card is graded and that the card is worth, they show all the pictures. It's up to you to determine that. And I know like PWCC, when they were around, they clearly said that they rely on their grading companies to make, accurate grading assessments. And just because if you don't like the card isn't a reason to return the card. So understand that as a buyer, you have to make, get that information. Now, another thing I suggested was also to meet in person. This is probably the most powerful tool in every repertoire of investing and collecting is do meet in person. Either you can find a card show, you can go to like Vegas or LA, New York, wherever you're traveling for vacation, and meet people. And when you're especially doing larger deals, it tends to be more effective and then make that decision. Now, I kind of put the scenario out there because it does occur quite a bit. So one of the things that you can do is when you're buying a card, you can tell the seller, hey, look, I want to purchase the card, but I like to see the card in person. Is there a third party that you know that could kind of broker the card for me to see it? Obviously, the seller's not going to mail you the card first without you, without any kind of money, especially if they don't know you, right? And even if I've known them for years, I never do that because there's always a risk, right? So what you could do is you could do like a wire transfer, a wire payment, where the buyer, you can pay the money first. Wire is, protected, for the, it's protected in the sense that it's wire fraud to defraud someone, not have it shipped out. So I wouldn't worry about that. And especially if it's a reputable seller, the seller should agree in writing that, yes, I have your funds, but if you decide you don't like the card, you get 2 days to inspect whatever. And then the buyer would send the card back to the seller. The seller will then give the funds back to the buyer. And that's it. And you can write that out in writing. That tends to work out really well. You could do, back in the day, PayPal, which is buyer protection, and then go ahead and send a refund. But the problem with PayPal is that they take the actual PayPal fee out when you actually, even if you do a refund. So for example, let's say someone PayPal me $10,000, the PayPal fee is $300. Well, let's say the buyer, we agree that, hey, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, please check out the card. If you don't like it, I'll return the money. But the problem is now, in current situation, PayPal takes that $300, and me as a seller, I have to pay that $300 for part of the refund. So it actually becomes sucky. It's kind of one of the problems with PayPal. Now, if you go through eBay, there is no extra fee. That's one of the benefits of eBay, is that they don't charge you any fees for returns or refunds because it's good customer service. It's kind of a loss leader for them. But all in all, that's PayPal's policy. So be very aware of that. So in summary, I want to make the video, so I want everybody to just be aware that when you look at cards, you always want to, we all have a perception of what centering, corners, edges, and surface look like. We also see our videos of other people who have cards, etc. And it's also, I look at like the sports card world, honestly, and I used to be in that world quite, and I'm still very knowledgeable in it. I really feel that there's quite a problem in it, in the sense that a lot of people just see a slab and they say, oh, this is a PSA 8, PSA 7. They just say, oh, PSA, that's it. There's people that obviously look at the centering. You can look at the centering, the quality of the cards, the corners, edges, the surface, if there's any little spots in the back, etc., and make an assessment. But a lot of people out there, they just assume that the label's a label. And while the advanced collectors can tell the difference, the dealers especially can tell the difference, there's a lot of buyers out there who don't understand the difference. And if you're watching this video and you're brand new to buying, please contact me, vintagemagic.com, and especially the older cards, so I can help educate that. And that's something I'm going to, try to do different kind of videos later on, when I'm looking at the cards, the instance, because, things happen, right? You're starting into a new market. You're excited about it. You have some FOMO, and you really just want to bid on something on eBay or an auction, Heritage, whatever. And you assume you got a really great deal and a really nice card. But then when you get it, you realize very carefully after 6 months, year of collecting whatever, you talk to other community members, you're like, wait, man, this card is not deserving of this grade. Quality was terrible. I overpaid. I didn't know the market. All these factors come in. And so you got to have people that are, knowledgeable and obviously have a reason for people to, like a kind of a, for me, like, even though I sell the cards, it's very important I educate people on what they're buying, because I don't want people to leave the hobby because of the fact that they're getting a bad experience, right? Because that reflects badly in the industry I'm in. And number two, I think it's also I'm the same way you are. Like, I'm a collector of many things, and I would hate for the condition and the service and everything you're going through is not exactly the level that you experience. So the highest level, and you want that, with anything. So if you have a question, contact me, vintagemagic.com, contact us, and I'll always be happy to even, pick up the phone. And, that's generally what I do, just pick up the phone. So make sure you leave your phone number. All right, guys, I hope you guys learned something in the video. Sorry about my little sickness, my little voice issue, and we'll talk to you in the next one, all right? Take care. Have a good week.
Hey everyone, it's Daniel Chang with VintageMagic.com. In this video, I want to run through our consultation service on VintageMagic.com. So what's really exciting to me about the consultation process is meeting you. I've met so many incredible people in the Magic the Gathering industry all over the world, and this consultation process is the key part to a successful working relationship. Getting hold of me is very simple. You could call or email me. We'll talk more about your needs. From all that information I gather in our call, typically about an hour long, I'm going to determine the best solution for you. So because we have such a suite of services that we offer, I'm going to sit down with a follow-up call, and then we're going to go off and determine what the best path is. I have experience in handling conversations in regards to large collections of artwork, sets of cards, either if it's graded or ungraded, raw cards. I also have dealt with collections with lots of misprints and oddities. Altered cards, sketch cards, and artist proofs are also one of my specialties. My experience in Magic Gathering has gone to any level of collecting you may have. I look forward to working with you.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.